is Jennifer Barrera. Today on Tender Seeds, as you can see, there have not been a lot of therapies because therapies and stories are not been ongoing. Yet today I will speak about a matter that matters to everyone. First, being kind and thoughtful is a good thing. Society isn't. People are evil intention. Look at your neighbors. Some of them might be hypocrites, some might be sociopaths. Some might be people that take your money. But truth to be revealed. It shivers. My heart shivered, my blood just went up and I went, ugh. That might be true. Some people it is closer to their truth, and some, well, they're a little more distant. They have more civil people. Now here today I decided to speak about one thing that's very much a truth that matters to me. It matters because it's whom I am. When I was young, they tell you to write what you want. They tell you, what is it that you want that you wouldn't tell to people? So obviously you don't go around telling them, you don't go around screaming, but this is how it goes. I decided to write about my life, having love, having somebody to be with, to share my life with. That means a man, not a woman. I know a lot of people go around with faces. Some people, we don't have that. We don't need them. The gay society, good luck to you. That's not what I do. And I do say because some people pray, they'll change. No, we won't. No, I can't. Because it's not what I have to do. Right? That's not my purpose. And that doesn't mean I have to be disrespectful. But it doesn't mean I have to acknowledge and accept it in my life. If I would have children or if there's any children that I have to accept specific norms. I know we see it in television. People make it normal. Fine. But in my life, there are specific things that I do not accept. It doesn't mean the Bible. God is a loving, and I truly believe in that. We see God as a loving figure. Yet, in our lives, we take decisions, and there's specific things we do not accept. So I did write that. I did write, I will not accept, see, I touched my nose. It made me feel uncomfortable, or I have slight allergies. And it is true, right? I wrote that, and then people go around saying many, many things. So after many years, and I'm a working person, I was in business for many years, I worked with my mother. Some people didn't like parents, some people don't like origin, they want to have a mother, then they don't want to have a mother. Let's keep the issue going forward so it makes sense in therapies and story. Why am I saying this? I did say that I wanted a man and I want to have sexuality. If it doesn't work with one man, it would work with another. Being bitter and having my body not feel like a body isn't my purpose. It was never what I requested. I never even spoke much with doctors about this. But with one specific or a few specific, I was very prone to say what I wanted. I didn't need doctors. And here I will go and say specific things about the Arab woman. I'm not using a proper voice. It's not even Spain, it's the Arab woman. Some women feel very special. It's very, very good for them. I'm not making fun, but I'm going very straightforward to you. Here in Canada and the US, you couldn't have sex. Many of your women, you couldn't. So you had to go see doctors and make them sign and make all paperwork. I know. I'm one of those doctors. Not that they came to me as an owner. Many people have their development to have sex. Some of you bothered me. 10 years, 20 years, you did bother me after. Calling some of us Canadian, some American, some Hispanic, stupid woman. Listen, I get it. Some things did get you angry. The Egyptian, the Arab, Indian, we don't see it much. Indians, what they did was more being within their community, which I thank you. You understand a specific value that we have as the Hispanic origin. We seek our own origin. I have siblings, I have many people that I know that married into other culture. I always requested out of them that they respect who I am. I have values, I have my own belief system, and then I have proper psychiatry. If you go see a doctor because you want to have sexual intercourse, and then you call people stupid 5 years, 10 years, 20 years later, then you obviously have an issue because something happened in your life. You have a daughter, you want her to be in Hollywood. Listen, we have an issue here. So for the Arab woman, you did bother. The Jewish, the same thing. Some of you didn't grow up with parents, orphans. Obviously, that's very difficult. Yet you have to understand one specific thing. That is not my problem that happened to me. That is not what I ask people to be. I didn't go around in society asking people to be orphans. What I ask people to do is be thoughtful, and we have different laws, and then as we go, we have specific laws in elementary school, high school, and then college, university, and it goes on and on. If you do 10 years, if you're a doctor, you have a lot of education, and you're prone to be able to discuss, to be civil. If you get angry, you can, rather use a punching bag, or you have any way you express anger. If you have to go against a person, well, good luck to you also. When we have to go one person against the other, then you better know who that person is, because you better knock them down. And that's what I do. Jennifer Barrera, if anything has to do, she knocks people down. If I don't do it with my knowledge, I do it with my own capacity. If I don't do it with my capacity, I do it because I'm a woman. You're not a woman. How about that for a change? So let's go back to sexuality. Women that couldn't have sex, and then they started having sex. Let's say other Hispanic women. The Hispanic woman who came here, who wasn't born here, right? And they always talk first generation, second. No. Speak money. Speak knowledge. Or immigrants enter, who are they? Because they have luggage. Some of those people have good luggage. Oh, look at all those diplomas and knowledge. Look at that piece of where was that made? I don't know, does immigration does that? Because immigration, you're not involved with sexuality. Some doctors are. But immigration makes sure that people come into this country to welcome, to feel good, to give opportunities to people. I'm not being a dictator, but I do love looking like one. I would do anything. And I would do anything for love. I'll do anything to look like a dictator. Couldn't care less. Listen, they're all laws. They don't have to listen to everything I say, but a lot of people would be like, it's laws. Bring me down once, fine. Bring me down twice, fine. Bring me down as you wish, because I'm still going to bring you down with laws. And people speak of love, oh, how tender. When I pray to God, I speak to God. God tenderly, yeah, that's God. People are not always kind. People make it hard on some. Life is not hard. Life is not difficult. People make it upon. People make fictional stories. Rather you take it or don't. I don't. What I do is I take everything I know and I use it. So people have to remember their laws. So here we go again, this sexuality. And immigration was just a port de bras, a way to reference. How are we communicating for those ballerinas? We're around Christmas. So it's a port de bras, we're connecting. We're bridging conversation. So how does it happen here? It happens so that immigration will bring new people, all immigrants. And there are specific immigrants that myself, Jennifer Barrera, can swear before the Bible that I ask, kindly do not bring those people into our lands. They're battered, they're abused. What they do is that they want justice in this land and then make people like me go through that. You have the English, who always gets angry at the Hispanic origin. You have the French, who gets angry. I don't need that. They don't say it at school. Don't use my knowledge. Kindly, they have to pay me. The court, Washington, you could be civil, respect the law. Every client pays me. Cinema, all Hollywood, they have sanctions. Why? They didn't pay me. They haven't been good enough. They weren't kind. They play movies. Listen, life is not only a movie. Okay? Some of us will work around movies and then we do other work. So Washington, how you all doing? How y'all feeling out there? I feel like a teenager here. How y'all feeling out there? How does it make you feel? Because for my laws, listen, if we go to court, I think I'm right. Everything I did was right from the get-go. Even being an actor, I did make some money. People do their money the way they do. That's not against the law. Now, going against the law, you have to know why. And what are you using for for your own sake of your own goodness and from some others. Obviously, if somebody's doing theraing and posing, then you have to do something, right? I'm a person who's been against a lot of people. People hating always. Why? Because we make the money? Because people wanted to pay me and then they don't want to pay a person. Let's not forget that some people, it happens to them. We don't want you in our lives. We don't want you in our work. And that can happen. Let's bridge the gap. Let's, meet at a crossroad and let it make it clear that we don't need that. So here we go. Immigration has to make sure that every person who comes into our land, they respect whom a country is, that they honor. What a beautiful word, that they honor that you're in the land. You know what? It gave you an opportunity. It gave you that you could go to school, that you could work, that you could not have to wake up and you don't know if somebody wanted to shoot you or kill you in your own land. But here that didn't happen. Many people make it happen. Lawmakers, judges, lawmaking people that make all those things, not prostitute. She had a boyfriend, and that's what you give a person, a prostitute? No, darling. No. I don't need an accent for this. I won't be making a joke out of something that's very serious. I like people that are serious when it matters. It's not a joke here. People make it so they take good decisions so others come into land. And having people calling or insulting owners or insulting different people, and some of them include myself, doesn't make sense. And I do know because I do know. Sometimes we work, and sometimes we don't work and we just know it. You have to trust your gut, what you know. So listen, this is the point that I want people to understand. When people go up into their living, and they go, what I mean to say is they go up front living and wanting to live their lives, you have to make a good action. You have to take the good action of being responsible. You're committed, you're responsible. If you're doing something that's not right, you have to know why. You have to know how to explain it. You have to understand. So if you're asking that you want a sexual life to a doctor, you have to understand that you cannot go against a lot of people, all people, and put me or put some specific innocent people there that are not responsible or reliable in your situation, right? It doesn't make sense. What you're doing is you're bashing. So I, in an anger, would want to hit myself. I know people have gone that the anger of the nerve system doesn't work properly. Maybe that's something you should check. A red flag. But also it can be anger. People that get angry, guess what? You don't need that. You can do it for a television series. You can use it for cinema. It makes very dramatic characters. And we're like, really? Ask myself, I got tired and exhausted at some point. Just so angering. Oh, Jesus. You have to let it go. So the point here is, people get angry. You don't want that. At some point, you want to let it go, distance yourself, and how can you resolve that? If you're a doctor. If you're the person in question and you're dealing with that situation, how do you go? The French is not very much involved here. They have their own community. They have their own culture. They're not my culture. I'm the Hispanic person, right? I always say it because some people hate specific things and you don't follow protocols regularly. You don't even acknowledge who a person is. I've had people say things and I'm like, who are those people? They don't even know who I am. And then they say they're inventing, fine, let's go to every evidence. And everybody's like, yeah, that's embarrassing. Yeah, oh, yeah, that's embarrassing. So if your wife is Arab, kindly thought, and she had a difficulty marrying, don't put on me. And listen, this is why I'm saying it also, because I had a problem. When this first started and I was working on a specific production, people made fun of me. That's why I'm going like this. They made fun because the girl wants to date, she wants to go out. So you have specific men that are put and they wanted to make fun. Some people can say, you know what, Jennifer, they might just be spirits. It might be true, you know. But at the end of the day, people shouldn't make fun of something that's very normal. Having a sexual life. It is actually against God when a woman wants to have children, to bear children, and she's really in a proper age, has education, has proper asset, to not let her have her life. So this is what I'm saying. If people think that I'm just trying to make somebody feel bad, that's not the purpose. The purpose is really that women go through those phases. Women, sometimes we don't understand men, right? Sometimes it happens. Some women, they're good at blaming. The good talent is understanding them a little more. And then you become a little more soumise. Because you understand their philosophy, their mind, their insecurities. It starts on being ugly for men. Some men make women look ugly. God, they do love ugly women. They make them look like trash because they can't handle a woman. Some men do that. I'm against it. I have laws for that also. So if ever people did that, well, yeah, kind of go around the direction they have to be more respectful with all laws. So do take this into consideration. Kindly ask. Acknowledge that life has to be good. For most people ask that. I would ask that. Most people want a life that makes sense. And sometimes if you don't have a sexual life, don't be bitter and bash everyone. I've been through that. And not so much. And I want to say it because I just feel embarrassed that people cannot say their truth. It's like they're so lame. Can you not just say it? We're not in freaking elementary. Even in elementary school, I was more responsible than that. Have good intention in life. That helps a lot. Have the good sense of communicating if something doesn't work. And if you don't have to say it, because that's privacy. Privacy. Don't say it, but at least acknowledge it in your life. It's easier. I sound like a teenager. I'm like almost, but I'm not a teenager. I'm an adult and I'm fully conscious of why I'm doing this so people understand. So they feel a bit more at ease. So they understand, listen, people went through that. There's people that were immigrants that did request that. Some people, it makes sense. Some other people, I would have been the talker, I would have been like this. No, why? There's specific laws. But then you cannot go and just be a person that doesn't make things, or make, I would say, the living of some progress in the right direction. So wishing that this is a bit clear in life, I think a lot of people do know this, but a lot of people don't understand how you can become a bothersome to others. If you don't like somebody and you feel they're very, very special, listen, that's your issue. That's not mine. There's a lot of people out there, as I said, they're very, very special. I don't go around wanting to hit them. It would be very much uncanny, unwell, unthoughtful. It would be a crime also. It's against the law to just go around and being, or just using any means and any tools. The better thing that we can use is good communication, proper development. And both of my parents who are not with me, may God be with them, I never speak truthfully about how I feel or specific things about all of that, and I should. My parents were good people to me. I love them very dearly. My mother did embarrass me. She didn't permit me to have a sexual life the proper way, the proper development and the proper education. My father was a bit that way, but he was a bit intelligent in the way that he did discuss enough and then kind of push himself away. And there's things that he didn't want to deal with. And then you have people that he knew, so they kind of go around and they settle things their way. But nothing against the law, nothing that you would be embarrassed, but then there's things that are embarrassing. And I do say this because people are not allowed, they're not legally allowed to take anything that a mother has done and reuse it or redo it in society, right? I do say it out of courtesy to my living, to that moment it was embarrassing, but also out of good knowledge of proper development, of proper consciousness to my own self, right? I want to have my life. I want to have my own identity. Any person who's bothering me, well, they have no legal right. At the origin, they have no legal right, but also they have no legal right to use the sword of my mother. They have no right to use something that harms or that would harm myself. And that's the most important thing. And then you have a lot of other people that have gone through their stories, and they have to justify their own truth versus the own truth others have lived versus what society. Because sometimes we see all society the wrong, and it is true. Out there, there's a world, but there's a lot of people also that have good knowledge, and they have good intention, they have a good purpose, and they have good being. And then people say, oh, that's not true, the good sense of their being. It is true. Some people have that. You shouldn't take it away. It's not only about being people that are educated. You have people that are very humble, and they will live all their lives, and I don't want that. You know, why people work in the media? Why do people work in communication? Why do people become doctors? Why do people sell knowledge? Why do people do things? Because they want to make money. Some people come from parents who had wealth. Some of their wealth were taken. Be careful with the country of origins. I did say that. And I have to add this to my story. I come from a country that has, you know, a big land, Canada, and some people put US. A lot of people say, like, is she trying to lie to us? Because if she's trying to lie to us, we'll get her down. Laws again. Just follow laws and it'll be fine. People can find their way with laws. But my origin, the Hispanic origin, which some people don't like, I always thought it was funny because when I was very young, I had to travel. I was very fortunate to be able to travel. I had to go to a specific country, but there was one country that I had to go back and forth. And in that country, it wasn't that I wasn't supposed to see all the luxury all, but the country was very much, there had been the war, earthquakes, there was very much a different variation of things that people wanted me to see, right? They wanted me to have a different perspective as the country was being reconstructed. Now you have a different country, and then you have to understand how they get the money, those people. Some money is even taken from this country, or even taken from the US. People take and then they invest and then they kind of want to reset. That's why some wealthy don't have their money for a few years. Jennifer doesn't accept that as an owner. Jennifer has a legal law that wrote. She doesn't accept it, right? She has gone through enough. Signature. I think it's worth it. So, that's worth saying it. It ends there. But what I want to say is that the origin really taught me that people go through their phases that they want to make much more out of their lives. And you could see it in different people. So when I was going there, there was almost no television. You had no host. There was like a few amount of networks, and I would watch television. We had a few things that came from the US. You had a few things from Europe, but there was a lot of things locally made that you would never. And then as the year went, you had other things develop. And I remember there were things that I didn't like, and I would really be unspoken because there were people from there. And then some people took it very nice, and some people were like, really? So, but then it wasn't meant to be out there. You know, people are not supposed to, again, uncomfortable. I'm not supposed to be saying it to all the outlets, but just a few people, because, you know, it was also my field of study. I studied when I was in high school, and then I went out to college, university, and then I changed completely of study. So that's why I was a bit, some specific I don't like, I really don't, but it makes sense. As I grew older, and then I'm not that old, but I'm a bit older, there's things that make sense to me, and there's things that I do like, and then there's things that I'm like, But we understand that it's supposed to have their own lives, their own purpose, and it has their own identity. So you cannot take that away from them, right? You cannot take it, and that's nice. Some people didn't like specific, because, you know, they have girls come from other places, and they're like, they want to take every man, and then you're like, you laugh at them, you're like, you don't know who my mother is, she's like crazy. But she's not a crazy person, she just had her laws, and then we have our laws, and then we have all laws of specific. They're like, Lord, you wish, but no. It wasn't that easy. But it's just funny the way people see it. You know, we go for television, we go for a specific amount of things that happen that people just assume, but it's important, right? The dating and going out, we go back to the first and main discussion here, sexuality. If a one goes and they go see their doctor and ask, listen, there's a specific thing that I cannot do, whether you're working in an industry or whether you're here or there, whatever, you're specific. Some, it's only the pill. If you're asking only the pill, thank God. That's all the worst. Then you have other things that people would want to discuss, but that's, that's not what I'm trying to discuss here. It's not a matter of being immature, that some people are that way, but it's a matter of not being responsible. Whenever you check your life on, and I know that I've been seen many different ways, good for myself. Because that's the only way you know that some people don't know who you are. And I'm like, really? That's what people think? Oh, that's interesting. That's always an interesting perspective to see. But that's not what you want. My culture, I have a culture that's very much Hispanic. I don't practice all my culture here. But then I have another culture. I have many things that I grew up with that I hold with all my being and that I will always have. For they taught me about who I am, who I want to be. When I get angry, as I was saying, when you have to, and also that I don't want to have people around dealing with specific things, so I have my own protection, my own culture. So that's my origin, but also it's my culture of thoughts. It's my culture of not letting specific things get too close to me or not letting them. And then you have to deal with many realities, because that's part of life also. There's things that I have to read, or there's things in the past mostly, or just people that don't want to be a person that makes a change, or they don't make things happen for others. And that also shouldn't be. If you're in any shape, in any place that you can actually shape a better world or just make a different thing occur, and you can, then you better make it, right? And I think I've done part of what I can for specific things. Some people have dislike for money, for economy. May God be with me every step of the way for that, because that's, also privacy. But then you have to also be able to discuss that, because it's not, discuss that with the person or the people with whom it concerns. No, with just, random people. In economy, there's different development, and when there's privacy, there is privacy. So wishing this is clear. As therapies and stories have not been ongoing for a specific reason, but for this matter, for this moment, it matters to me that people, whatever situation people went through, and I'm saying this for my own self, because I have to go outside into the world. If I go to a store, I don't have to feel bad. Why would I? Right? Why would I, if I did everything in my life as a committed person, as a person? I don't work for my mother. I never did my work for my mother. There's people that are very much one specific belief system. That's good for you. And God, I sing horrible today. Sometimes we do that. They have such beautiful, and then you hear, God, that's what happened to their voice. But in another line, that would be a purpose, right? Sometimes we don't have to do things for somebody else. Sometimes you have to do everything for your own self. Sometimes you don't have to make it funny. I know for myself, I love specific things. I do love it. But when it is serious, you have to be serious. You have to understand that it matters, that people understand if there's a gravity involved in it. If something was done against my own self, against specific people, if I say specific things, well, then, there's a level of gravity. And if there's a level of seriousness, then it implies, and why do we have all those subjects, implications, and how do we put them in laws, or how do we put it into even a medical measure? Some people, for one thing can happen. And sometimes it can happen, and then you get all better. That's where we're at, right? People are not supposed to be unwell or just all emotionally stuck and not capable to be able to express that. Obviously, if you're a teenager and you're in high school, it's all the same thing. It's very nice to see girls. They're all mature, very pretty, and you're like, oh, I wish you're there. But then you're like, I often go, oh, no. I don't want to be there. What would I? But you want to be where you're at. But girls are still young. The same for boys. When you're 20, it's something else. 30, and then 40, and then 50, and 60, and it goes on and on and on. So wishing makes sense. Wishing that people can understand your own person. And it always connects again to your own thoughts. And then obviously you have the nerves, which I just went, if you would be hitting, what happened, Are your nerves are responding to whom you, have you been not sleeping properly? Have you been having issues that you have to question? So that's also another topic that's worth saying, worth mentioning, worth thinking in your own self. A lot of people have to deal with that. If you're at work, I remember working whenever I had to work with people, and you have to, have a lot of space. You take your own moment, whether, when you're with them, or whether when you go to the restroom, or you kind of want to have those moments where you just, you have your own energy and make it all good for yourself. So if people can have that also, it's not a bad thing. Energy-wise, many people seek to be in a good zone of good energy. They want to feel relaxed, they want to feel stress-free, or they want to be with people that they can agree. If you don't like somebody, and it has happened to me, then don't deal with them. I don't deal with people. I don't have to change for no one. I don't have to change for some people that are odd. Some people are not educated. I have to go through so much at some point, and I'm going to change for somebody. You change for the better. You change for good things, but not because somebody has to make you, or not because you have to be soumise. I did say the word for men, and it's not soumise for yourself, but sometimes it can be a bit modeled. And sometimes it can be just commitment. That's the proper word. Commitment to be with somebody. So, I wish that makes sense. I wish that makes a bit things clearer. And I wish people don't have to always be angry as myself or as some Hispanic. I don't have to defend all the Hispanic girls out there. Because trust me, when they're in North America, they have to follow every law. Some of them are like, we hate them. They're born there. Not true. We all have to do what we have to do. So kindly acknowledge all those differences. Acknowledge how they all go back and forth. Would I change all the difficulty? Yes, I would. I remove many people that didn't give me what is mine. Many people that have no knowledge. Many people, if you're seeking chastity after 20 years old, after 25, careful there. A lot of people don't want that. I myself would want to have a relationship that has stability, and you don't want to be with somebody who's perhaps they're gay, right? Some people don't want something because they're gay. Myself, I don't want that. I never asked that, so I don't want people to assume upon that, and I want either people to think that I have to put friends. It has happened in the past. They put friends, and then you're like, no, that doesn't work. So kindly, people, use the good sense that you have. Don't use my education. My schools were mine. I did attend school. I almost feel like I had to play. Maybe I should play a character from East LA, cause that you wear bandana and you're like, cause that's all they. You don't have to hate them. They have their characters giving their surroundings, giving things that did happen to them. And some of those people could learn a lot, and some of them just have their own group. Cause maybe I should do that. No, I wouldn't, but I do understand that there's many origins that people have, and some of us, we have that origin. Some people have those groups there. I'm not part of that. But some people, you have to understand, how are they made? Why are they there? Some just joke around also. Some people change as it goes. And some people, it isn't easy. Life isn't always easy for them. But that's not the discussion here. Here's very much sexuality. So, wishing people can understand that I'm trying to make it a bit easier for some people to understand whom I am. I don't have to pretend to be somebody that I'm not. I don't have to be pretending that I like some people that I don't. I don't have to be pretending a culture that I certainly am not. I like some food. It doesn't mean I like everything in the culture. I don't have to pretend about anything in life. It's the same thing as in sexuality. You don't have to pretend. Sexuality is something you embrace, something that you have to live. people didn't permit me, then permit you, then, you know, you have to make it a conscious responsibility that you don't want a priest, you don't want specific people, and you want to meet a person and live your life. And that's life. So, wishing people can acknowledge the cuz thing of East LA, you can cut it. You can, you know, don't use it. It's just there because I felt like, cuz some people are that way. Kindly, think properly. Know your laws. If you go against something, know what you're doing. And sexuality, again. Don't get angry at specific people like us. We have our own lives also. So wishing this is a nice way of putting it before the holidays. Wishing I have a beautiful holiday. Wishing I have all the best. I'm going to wish it to myself. All the very best for myself. Thank you and have a good day. Bye-bye.